Welcome to the sixth installment of Renee and Darryl's Walt Disney World Honeymoon. I'm Renee.
And I'm Darryl. For those of you joining us for the first time, we're a middle-aged couple planning our honeymoon to the world during the 2019 Flower and Garden Festival. If you want more background on us, check out the first episode we recorded a few weeks ago. And I do need to disclose that I have Disney stock in a retirement fund, and I'm a Disney Visa card holder.
But we are planning to stream these vlogs most Wednesday nights, and most of the time they'll be right here from Darryl's studio, Darryl's Geo Gearhead studio. Tonight we're going to talk about something that Darryl introduced me to last time, was like a year and a half ago when we were in Disneyland. I didn't know how I'd feel about it so much, but I love it, and that is pin trading.
So you had no clue that this existed when we went there.
I mean, I knew there were pins, but I didn't know.
Well, and I think it started by I wanted pins from each of the parks that we were at because it was my first and only time.
Right. And that made sense to me.
Yeah.
And I think 20 years ago you gave me an Abu pin, which I still have
came
somewhere.
from the Disney store back when they actually had like the Disney Studio store.
It was a brand new store.
Yeah. The Disney Studio store doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
That was a thing that went away during the early 2000s, I believe.
Okay.
But in any case, I got you and your niece some of the hidden Mickey pins.
Yeah, you actually got us blind bags, I think. Or not blind bags, those boxes where you don't know what's inside.
Yeah, the hidden Mickey pins.
Okay, and I had no clue what that was. I'm like, you buy a box.
Specifically so they could try to trade. And of course, we're doing this in our last few hours at California Adventure.
Not even hours. I think you wanted to leave. It was on our way out.
Well, I didn't want to leave. It was
my sister wanted to leave.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Exactly.
Actually, probably my brother-in-law wanted her to leave.
Oh, okay.
That's probably more of what it was.
I thought
I'm not sure.
Your niece was getting a little tired too.
Oh, she was until she started pin trading.
Oh yeah, and then she got her third or fourth win.
Something.
Yeah. But yeah, I introduced you to pin trading through the blind bags.
Secretly, he really loves it too.
I do. I don't get into the pin trading as much, to be honest.
No, he just collects the pins.
I like the pins.
But if he has to trade to get the pins he wants, then, bonus.
So tell me what you know about actually pin trading in the parks.
Well, I know that not every cast member, but every store definitely has some pins that they can trade in each land. And outside of a lot of those stores, at least this is the way it was at Disneyland, there are, like, they set up a table where they put out their pins, and sometimes they tell you the history of the pins. And some are pretty fair and some want specific things for their pins. But what they do with the books that I thought were kind of cool is you can see what a whole set should be like. So when you open a blind bag and you get 2 or 3 pins in there or whatever it is, and you're like, okay, so what does this all look like when it's together? And sometimes you find it and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have to buy 10 boxes to get 5 pins.
Okay, so you're kind of all over the place with that.
I am. I'm sorry, I'm not as methodical as him. It's just fun. You get in there and you get excited and you trade pins.
For the people who are into or who aren't into the pin trading yet and looking for the basics, any cast member who has the lanyard with the pins is there to trade, and they're allowed to trade 2 pins with I forgot about that. Any person, yeah. And my understanding,
I had no idea also about hidden Mickeys before we were there.
Yeah, not the hidden Mickey pins, but the hidden Mickeys.
Any of them.
Right. But the cast members are pretty much obligated to trade as long as whatever you're trading with them isn't one they already have on their lanyard.
Or their board or whatever they're using.
Right. Well, and if you have the same kind of rules if you have the pin boards at the stores or at the resorts.
Okay.
So
every resort does it too?
Every resort has it too. Most of the resorts will have it at the desk, and you can go and ask for the pin board there.
Okay.
Most of the merchandise locations have the pin board, and you can ask them as well.
Okay.
Not all, but most.
Most.
And then there's a few locations where the real collectors like to go, and one of those is the pin trading. I'll call it a kiosk because it's not really the store. Yeah.
Right.
At Epcot.
Yeah, that looked a little scary to me, but I want to look at it anyway.
Yeah, at Future World.
A little intimidating.
So that's one of the ones. That's where I really got my introduction really to pin trading. We knew about it a little bit and went pin trading when I was there in 2011, but it's when we got connected with those very enthusiastic pin traders that I really started to understand what was going on and how it worked.
Okay. So I'm also just starting to get into, I guess, the geocaching version of that which would be not really coins. I mean, we collect those. We don't trade those. I haven't traded those, but like the path tags.
Yeah, path tags are very different though, and
But it's
not
the same concept when you come to trading, except for people don't feel that they ever have to trade you anything if they don't want to.
Well, yeah, you've got the hardcore collectors, and the hardcore collectors of the pins are a lot different. And as nice as they are, and as fun as it is to get started that way, or I shouldn't say get started, is once you've gotten a little bit further along, you get to see what they have. They'll help you out so much
at Disney.
The traders at Disney, not the cast members, but the actual like traders, and they do pin trading events that are special events. Some of them are ticketed events,
really,
with special pins. And there's special event hidden Mickey pins.
Oh,
but in general, there's like 3 classes of pins, I'll say, at the Disney parks. And I'm sure there's more than that people are going to correct me. But you have the hidden Mickey pins, which is really like the bottom tier. That's what you get started with in trading, and what a lot of people like
those Muppet pins that we had.
Yeah, the Muppet pins. There's special event versions of those pins, and they'll vary in price, but you're usually looking at somewhere, near as I can tell now, because I haven't seen the current pricing, but it seems like they're about $8 to $10 per pin.
Okay.
In a 2-pack.
Oh, so between
those are those blind bags.
Okay, so it can be up to or around $20.
Yeah, like the Food and Wine Festival pins that we just saw the Disney Park blog open.
Right.
Those were labeled at $19.99.
Yikes.
Yeah, so they're
but
pricey.
They were pretty
pins.
cool.
They are very cool pins.
They're very cool. I don't remember.
They're larger than your normal. I don't either. But they're larger than your normal Disney hidden Mickey pins that I've seen. And those are your special event pins. But, we get some of the cheaper ones through the Shop Disney, and they've been about $16 for
and then
a 2-pack.
How can you tell, like, if something's one you really want, or if something's authentic or not authentic, or like these?
Oh, she gives me a Epcot pin. Really, the only way to tell if it's authentic, as I understand it, is just to look at the quality, because Disney does have very good quality control. And on the back, you have to look for the Disney symbols. Now that changes from year to year. And originally, my understanding is when they started the pins as a thing, it wasn't intended to be this big pin trading thing, and they didn't care about it.
Collecting.
Well, they had like the tie tacks and that kind of stuff that they just kind of expanded into the, actual like collectibles, because people liked them. And special event pins. They had pins for cast members, and it wasn't designed as this big collectible thing, but it just grew into that, and they leaned in and they created this whole collectible thing that's just insane at this point, and it's only getting bigger and better. But this pin that she just gave me, the Figment at Epcot pin, is one of those like middle tier pins. This one is one you buy on the rack. They're usually in the parks, have the silver, the gold, the different colors to tell you what the price is. And those are the different levels. These are the ones that you collect and you take home. You don't go and trade these in the park. Generally, you're not going to take this to a cast member and trade it for a hidden Mickey, because they're a little bit higher quality, bigger pins. Not, awesome, great pins like some of the big collector pins. And those are the ones that will be very expensive, and sometimes in sets. Like one of the sets that's out right now is a 3-pack of the princesses in a nice collector box.
Oh, those are nice.
That's like your highest level. Those, I don't think people really trade them. I'm sure they do, but it's like, it's the exception. It's not you buy them to trade.
Right.
These, the middle level ones, people will actually buy some of these to collect, but they trade them, or to trade rather, but they'll trade them with other collectors.
But like, this is what you were looking for when we went to Disneyland, one for like each land, even though this is Epcot. right?
Yeah, each of the resorts.
Each of the resorts. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have resorts. They don't have resorts at Disneyland.
Well,
but,
yeah, the parks, each of the parks.
Right, but
they
I
do
know
have the resorts too. But yeah,
Well,
sometimes they get they refer to the parks as resorts as well. And
okay.
I get that.
Well, I mean, but that was the ones you were looking for, and I know you like Figment, so I thought that was cool. But I don't know a lot about a lot of them.
And so this is the one I like to collect. Every time I go to a Disney park or resort, I like to grab one of them for that park and resort and just have that as a memento, a keepsake.
Right.
And one for the year too.
Right. Those are harder to come by. What was that
those
set?
Are actually pretty. We bought those on Shop Disney this time.
What were the
And those are like the spinners this year.
Oh yeah, those are pretty cool. The set from last night, I'm just excited. The one we were watching the vlog about.
That was a Hidden Mickey set.
But the new Hidden Mickey set, they are so nice, and they're from
that's the special
that was the Epcot
event,
ones. They're from all different countries.
Right, that was for food and wine.
Oh, okay. But
that's the ones that I was just talking about.
They have an Abu pin.
They do.
It's really cool.
Which is the one that she wants. She really wants the Abu pin, and we'd love to get some of those because they are really nice. It'd be nice to have the full set, even though we don't go there.
Right.
It'd just be nice to have that set because it's a cool set of the characters.
Unfortunately, I don't think they'll have it left by the time we get there because it's food and wine. They'll have, there's another festival before ours, and then there's Garden Festival.
Yeah, there's the Artist Festival, and the Artist Festival should have some really great coins.
Right.
And hopefully we're going to be there soon after that we can get some.
Mm-hmm.
We may have to go to the pin trader at downtown Disney Springs. It's now called Disney Springs. To get that kind of stuff. But there's a good chance we might get that. And if nothing else, we may be able to trade for some of those pins.
True.
Because I would assume a lot of the cast members are going to have those left over from people trading to get the ones that they really wanted and to round out their set. So we'll cross our fingers that they have them, but they're not necessarily going to be there.
Right. We don't know. If only we had a spy going earlier.
Well, if we had someone who could
actually
bring some back. But sorry, I'm looking up right now. 'Cause one of the things that we found is that Shop Disney does have the Hidden Mickey pins to buy. They don't have all of the Hidden Mickey pins, which is one of the problems for those of us who want to go down and hit the ground running.
Right.
We can't get the Hidden Mickey pins quite as readily as we would like. So at this point, they have the Zoom Zoom. Yes.
Zoom Zoom. I don't know how I feel about those.
They have some weird Star Wars pins. The Star Wars Hidden Mickey pins are $15 for a pack, so $7.50 is where we really should land on that. I thought they had some more, but I'm not seeing them on the app right now. But they have this limited edition Incredibles 2 set that I really like. That's another one of those box sets. That is cool. It's just something that you want to put on the shelf and leave there. You never want to touch it. But that's $90. And in this case, it's 5 pins. Some of the other ones are much more expensive.
Right.
So, yeah, the Hidden Mickeys are the ones that you want to plan on trading in the parks. We want to try to get more of them, but there's a limited selection of those through Shop Disney. So you really need to go to the parks or to Disney Springs.
Right.
Well, there's some of them that are special runs just for the limited runs for the attraction for the festivals and stuff like that. Like the Food and Wine Festival, they have pin trading ones. They had I want to say it was called Meet the Artists or something. That was a limited edition just for the pin traders. And these are special events. Sometimes they're ticketed, and most of the time you have to pre-purchase the pins. And you can't necessarily, if you say, I want 20 packs of these, they may come back and say, okay, sorry, we can't get you 20 of them. You can only have 15.
Okay.
So, yeah, sometimes they're that limited.
Wow. Okay. But either way, it makes it more exciting. And I think that's what they're trying to do is some of the things might sound a little ridiculous, but they're really trying to get you to go there, not just to order it and have. They want you to go there and either trade or buy it from their stores.
Yeah, and it seems from the limited experience I've had doing it, you really want to have one of the Disney lanyards with the pins on it. And in the parks, you will actually have some other guests come up, especially the children, come up and ask you if you'll trade one pin for one pin. And it's just adorable. It's a lot of fun. But the pins on the lanyard are really nice. The books get a little bit cumbersome to haul around.
I mean, who wants to carry it? But then again, who wants all those pins too?
Yeah, if you're going to go trading at like the pin booth at Epcot, then you really want to do that. And so many people do that. It's awesome.
Is it the kind of place we can go there all day? We can go back, get the thing, and come back and trade and go back again?
We could, but the trouble is we don't necessarily know when people are going to be there.
That's true.
So Epcot, it's not as big a deal to have the pin book around. And I think that's part of why Epcot is such the hot spot for it.
Because it's not as many rides.
Yeah, you don't have the thrill rides that you have elsewhere. You don't have to worry about your pin book getting thrown off as you or getting soaked as you go through Splash Mountain or something. So it's a nice, easy stroll around the lagoon, and you come back and you do some pin trading. You know, it's a nice day kind of thing.
Okay.
So I don't know that we're actually going to do any of that kind of trading, but we're definitely going to be hitting each and every one of the countries and trying to trade pins there, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And if nothing else, you're probably going to want to do it just to say that you traded a pin in each of the countries around World Showcase.
I think that would be fun.
So the plan, I'm assuming, is going to be go to each of the merchandise locations and try to trade a pin.
Sounds like fun.
And in all probability, we're going to do that with something that we're talking about on next week's show.
What's that?
We'll talk about that next week.
All righty then. Surprises.
Before we take off, let's hit 3 news items that hit the Disney Parks blog. First one is the title of the article was 19 magical new and limited time experiences coming to Walt Disney World Resort in 2019. Now, the big news for us out of this one is that they've announced the dates for the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival. It's going to be March 6th through the June 3rd.
Perfect timing to then they have this thing. I know that we said it for a minute, right? The double attractions, double the fun at the newly expanded Early Morning Magic. So my understanding is they have some evenings where you can pay extra money and stay late. Now they're going to have a breakfast and you can come early.
Well, they've actually had this before, but they're expanding it
to the 2 days a week.
Now it's select Tuesdays and Sundays.
Right. So and no dates yet for when we're going to be there. It's not going to
be, I was thinking when I first read this that it was 2 days a week. When I reread this, it sounds like it's some Tuesdays, some Sundays. And I'm not sure that it's even going to be every week.
Okay.
But this is a cool add-on. And you have to have the theme park admission ticket. It's $79 for the adults, $69 for children. So it's not cheap. It is an expensive add-on. But you get the breakfast at Cosmic Race, which they say includes cheese, cured meats, scrambled eggs, potatoes, pancakes, and more. So who knows what the more is?
Bacon and cheese omelets.
Probably.
And hash browns.
And they do have that running from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Okay.
The event is 7:45 a.m., 7:45 to 9 a.m.
So really does the park open then at 10?
The park opens at 9, I think, because they end the exclusive access at 9.
Oh, but you can still have breakfast between 9 and 10.
But you can have breakfast from 9 to 10. So this is one of the things that I've caught in some of the other videos. Like at Hollywood, they did a Toy Story Land version of this.
Okay.
You always want to make sure to go straight to the rides, do the rides, and then head to breakfast afterward.
But in an hour
and 15 minutes.
15 minutes, how many rides do you think you can actually do?
You can do a lot.
Yeah.
Someone was doing Slinky Dog Dash like this, and I want to say they got like 6 rides in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because the rides aren't very long.
Or very far apart.
Right. Now, there's some of them that are very long, but not
those
these.
Are probably not the ones that are open for the
Right. Right. And this is going to be in Fantasyland.
Okay.
This is not, unfortunately.
So it's just
Adventureland.
Just Fantasyland.
Right. I'm pulling up the article just to verify, but it's not going to be all of the attractions. You're not going to get Space Mountain. You're not going to get Splash Mountain. It's going to be Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is one of the ones they actually call out here. Okay. Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, the Princess Fairy Tale Hall, It's a Small World, Mad Tea Party, Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid.
Okay.
So it's not a huge number.
Okay, and they probably make those for a reason, and those are the ones you can do. So
yeah, and I think of those, the Small World might be the longest of those attractions.
Is that as long as Disneyland?
It might be actually a little longer, but I think it's about comparable. We'd have to actually go and run some numbers and find out.
Okay.
But yeah, it's an interesting one. Unfortunately, again, nothing is loaded on the site right now during our stay.
It's still technically 6 months away. So next week it could be all different.
Now, as much as I like those evening ones, I'd much rather really be at one of those evening ones, but we're not evening people like that. So this is the one that I'm interested in.
Rides at 1 o'clock in the morning, probably not.
No, we're going to be falling asleep.
That's where I guess I have to admit we're middle-aged. Yeah. I don't like to admit that, but yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, we can get up and do the early morning stuff. That's not a problem. So we're not elderly yet.
Yeah, and we don't have to walk Fozzie, so it's even...
Well, yeah, very true. No walking the dog.
Just wake up early.
All right, the last one is kind of more of a cautionary tale. Yeah. And this is, they titled the post, Walt Disney World Resort introduces new online destination for vacation planning, date-based tickets.
I read that totally wrong when you sent it to me, because you sent it to me along with something else, so I thought it was like date night.
No.
Date night's like special tickets, and I'm like, oh. And then when I read it, I was very disappointed.
This is bad news overall. It is expected, but disappointing. So we'll just leave it there. The new pricing begins on October 16th. So book your tickets now before that price increase and the date-based tickets start. And one of the problems
we have our tickets purchased.
We're already set. We're grandfathered in. If you buy your tickets before October 16th, you're fine as well. But one of the things that they're doing now is with your with your date-based tickets, that 14-day window that you used to have, where you had to use all of your days of a multi-day ticket within 14 days of the start, that's gone.
Oh.
You can buy that at an additional fee.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you buy 5 days like we have, you have to use those 5 days unless you pay another $50 to spread it out over 14 days.
Yikes. Okay.
Yeah. So you can't go from Magic Kingdom one day to Universal the next day. You have to have all of your days in a row unless you want to pay extra.
Yikes. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's overall bad news, but it's expected. And it's, they're different prices for different times of the year. And one of the good things, this is one good thing, is they are giving us kind of the calendar. When you go to the month, it shows you which are the cheapest days.
Oh, so, okay.
To start your trip. So this is going to be a good way to start planning when you want to go, because you look for those cheaper days. And that's typically, they're cheaper because of lower expected volume at the parks. So hit those. That's going to be the upside, is hit the site when you're thinking about when you want to book your vacation. Look for those cheap tickets and try to plan around that.
All right. So I think that pretty much does it for today. Thank you for watching, especially those of you watching live and sending in the comments in the chat. If you want to share, if you have more to share after the live show, feel free to drop those in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to our channel and click on that little bell icon to get the notifications when we go live.
And we should be back next week with more discussion about our planning of our Walt Disney World honeymoon. And I'm thinking next week we're going to be talking about the games down there.
That sounds like fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Okay.